Today for our daily cancellation, we're going to be canceling the Oscars. The Oscars have been canceled for me on a personal level since, well, forever. I don't think I've ever watched more than 5 minutes of an Oscars telecast. That's because I'm not a masochist. But today we're going to be canceling the Oscars for everybody else too. You aren't allowed to watch it either now after this, which I think will be one rule that you should have no problem following under my theocratic dictatorship. Reading from the Hollywood Reporter, the headline is, Film Academy sets inclusion requirements for Oscars, which will take effect in 2024. And this is good, as we all know, because history proves that quotas, inclusion, stringent PC standards, all of that makes for great art. For example, fun bit of trivia here. The Sistine Chapel was painted by a committee of racially diverse LGBT activists. It's true. That's a lot of people don't know that. Now let's read the article to find out about these requirements. It says, to encourage equitable representation on and off screen in order to better reflect the diversity of the movie-going audience, films will have to meet minimum requirements pertaining to representation and inclusion to be eligible for the Best Picture Oscar, beginning with the 96th Oscar race, which will recognize achievements from 2024 and be held in 2025. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences announced on Tuesday saying that in the meantime, an Academy Inclusion Standards form will have to be submitted to the Academy for a film to be considered for the 94th Oscars and 95th Oscars, although meeting inclusion thresholds will not yet be a requirement. And no action will be required for films wishing to compete for the 93rd Oscars, which are to be held on April 25th. Okay. Now, there are 4 standards by which the films will be judged before being admitted into consideration for a Best Picture. And they must meet 2 of the 4 standards. So here's the first of the 4 standards. This is Standard A. It's on-screen representation, themes, and narratives. That's the category. This means that at least one of the lead actors or significant supporting actors is from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group. These groups can be Asian, Hispanic/Latinx, Black/African American, Indigenous /Native American /Alaskan Native, Middle Eastern/North African, Hawaiian, Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, or other underrepresented race or ethnicity. They might also qualify under Standard A if at least 30% of all actors in secondary and more minor roles are from at least 2 of the following underrepresented groups. Women, racial or ethnic group, LGBTQ+, people with cognitive or physical disabilities, or who are deaf or hard of hearing. Or then there's A3, which is another way to qualify, is if the main storylines, theme, or narrative of the film is centered on an underrepresented group, such as women, racial or ethnic group, LGBTQ+, people with cognitive or physical disabilities, or who are deaf or hard of hearing. And then there are other standards too, standards B through D, but frankly, I think we all get the point. Now, a number of things jump out at us here. First of all, how is racial or ethnic group an underrepresented group? So racial groups in general are underrepresented in Hollywood? How could that be? Who are the people who've been starring in these movies? What are they, robots, space aliens? They have no race at all? That would explain a lot, I guess. But it seems to me that literally every movie that's ever been made has featured people of racial and ethnic groups. But they're looking now for certain racial and ethnic groups, and they want less of other groups. They just don't want to put it that way because it would sound racist as hell, which of course it is. Second, how exactly are women underrepresented in Hollywood? I feel like I see women in movies all the time. Women are in movies, movies are about women. There doesn't appear to be a problem here. In fact, these days you can't even watch an action movie without at least one of the main characters being a 120-pound supermodel who can somehow beat up 300-pound men. So there are plenty of women in movies. And the third point, of course, is that this is all completely arbitrary. You got 30% of the people in the supporting cast have to belong to 2 or more of this and that group. It's all entirely arbitrary. And the fourth point is, and this is the main thing I think I want us to take away from this. This is all good. This is all very good. We should be happy about this. Yes, I am canceling the Oscars because of it, but it's a joyous cancellation. It's there should be confetti raining down from the ceiling right now. This is I am happy to do it. We should be happy about it. Because there are 2 consequences from this. Both of them very good. One is that, and I think this is the less likely consequence, that movie studios decide that they don't care about winning Oscars anymore because the Oscars are such a joke, because it's been turned into, like an HR seminar now. That you have to follow all these different rules and meet all these quotas. And so maybe movie studios will say, we don't care anymore. We're gonna make good movies, and as long as people watch them, then it doesn't matter to us. And if that happens, then the Oscars become entirely irrelevant, which I would say they already are, but they are pushed even further into irrelevance, which I would say is a positive thing. Second consequence, potentially, is that movie studios decide, no, they want to win the Oscars. Maybe they want to win even more now because they get woke points for doing it, because then it will show that not only is it a good movie, but it's a progressive movie, and so they'll win a lot of credit that way. And so they'll start making their movies in accordance with all these ridiculous rules so that they can win the Oscars. And that will just be the end of Hollywood. That will be the end of Hollywood. Hollywood will officially be getting out of the business of making art. And it will be fully and totally and nothing but in the business of progressive politics. And I know you could say that that's already happened, and it has largely, but I still think that there are, you do find real art sometimes coming out of Hollywood. They do sometimes produce a movie, a TV show that seems to have been made because simply for the quality of it, for the art itself. I think this could represent the end of that. And now it's just totally about the progressive politics and nothing more. And if that happens, then it's the end of Hollywood, and it leaves a giant opening, a giant gap for somebody to come in and fill and make real art. Because they're still going, we are human beings, and we still have an appetite for art. That's not going anywhere. And if Hollywood's not going to fulfill that appetite, if they're not going to satiate that human need people have for art, then somebody else will come in and take Hollywood's place. And I say that's good. That's a positive thing. So this is all good. We should celebrate this. There's no reason to be annoyed by it. We should laugh and be happy as Hollywood continues to self-destruct and commit collective, artistic suicide right in front of our eyes. It's all a very good thing. And though they are canceled, again, it is something that we do so joyfully. Not a lot of joyful moments, unfortunately, on this show, but that's one of them right there that we can all take. Thank you for tuning into the Daily Wire, one of the fastest growing conservative media outlets in the entire country. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and a subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our content.